Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Let's get into the daily market recap. So, a couple of playbook trades to start with today. SLV continuation. So, nice play. So, this has been very in play. Didn't manage to catch a trade on this. I was a little MIA yesterday, not able to trade, but this was a nice continuation yesterday and then also today. So, we're focused on this and Oracle today. I just focused on Oracle, but this provided a really nice opportunity as well. So, you have your prior day high at 56.21. The pre-market structure was fairly good, basing just above that spot with some bullish RSI divergence. And then off the open, it failed to go higher, started to turn back into the range, but then defended. And then this break over the opening range kind of just blue skies ahead, right? In a very strong theme and name. So this started to kind of dislocate from gold lately and has continued to stay really in play. So I thought that was very good. Oracle was a good trade. Let's save that one for last. IWM, let's go through these a little bit quicker. So your all-time highs, IWM leading, really strong breakout, multi-year breakout this week. And this gave another opportunity. So we had the prior day high, tested near the open, failed, but then ended up working itself back. And on the second attempt, offered a really nice move. This should be up a little bit higher here on a break above. And you could even caught this kind of turn anticipating the break being stronger on the second attempt. So pretty straightforward continuation play there. And then SBX, this was a gamma play. We caught a nice trade on today. So went long around here on this second 68.80 test. We had a path of least resistance down here around 68.60 or so. And I was a little early with the first entry. I actually added to the position here because of the risk reward off of the polar. Just gave it a couple points. That ended up marking the low. And really what we had here, and let me see if I can pull it up for you all, is a trend combo. We had the market flip into this supportive charm and positive gamma landscape. So seeing those two things together just favors a trend move to the upside. And there was a peak above us around 69.10 that we were targeting, and we got fairly close to that into the end of the day, as you can see. So action played out really as we expected today. This was one of those days that makes you confident in the playbook, and being able to have data like the options of data to be able to see this. It just played out honestly exactly as we expected because of this, because of what we have, the visibility we have. Very volatile chop within the range, but if we can break above it and hold in the supportive, then you have trend variables leading to a push to the upside. So that was very good today. There was more than one trade too. We called this out, this bounce here. The polar was sitting in the middle of this range, which we ended up pushing well above that initially. But this was very scalpable too, where you tested the flip into positive gamma to the downside and ended up holding and starting. And then there's just a magnet right back to the polar, which is the path of least resistance. So that was pretty good today. There was some good opportunities in S&P. All right, and then now for Oracle. So Oracle, I got a number of DMs and questions on, why did you go with the upside today, or why did you think that it could trend all day? And the main reason for why I thought it could trend all day is the bigger picture nuances. So this got, let's try to take a step back here and just kind of look at where this trade started. So to me, this huge gap up that it had. So Oracle had been performing really well, right, in this second half or early part of the year, I should say, into the summer. And then it gets a very big gap up, okay? This is a huge gap up that, basically puts anyone that's long the stock in a really good position, right? So any buyers that are, in this good position, as this trade starts to unwind to the downside, now you have, paper hands, weak hands, and even beyond that, people that were, invested in feeling really good back into here now starting to get nervous. It becomes a pain trade for longs, right? Sellers got a firm grip on this and sold it all the way. It sold not only through the gap, but all the way through even this June gap low. So that's around this 188 and change key level. And you also had put in a failed breakdown here in November, but this has been a full round trip for the stock. So sellers very, very in control in this name. And then you have earnings. After attempting to turn the corner just before earnings, you gap right back lower. So the pain is kind of on, right? And from the buy side. Now, what's interesting about this and where some of the nuances come into play is the reason it's sold is they missed on sales, and they also increased capex spending. So basically, the demand is but the reason why they're increasing the spending is because the demand is so good in this AI theme. So that's a little nuanced, right, to me. And this is, just my read on it. I know Space Monkey shared some thoughts on this in the morning as well. That also helped kind of like form this view. And so, big picture, long term, probably, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I would say the sales miss isn't a great thing, especially combined with that. But if we see, people look past that a bit and price start to hold, that's where things start to get interesting, which is ultimately what happened. So you have this big picture where sellers are really, really in control, have been in control, right? So the reason, I know we went to the upside, so you're probably wondering, okay, so if sellers are in such good control, why were you thinking long? Well, it's because it's an if then. As soon as, at a certain point when the pain is reached a point where sellers start to take profit or buyers, are completely washed out. Once there's any kind of real like shift or pivot, sellers are going to get caught off sides quickly, and they have a lot of room to work with. So they've already gained, a ton of ground from anywhere in this entire move. So to me, it's as soon as that turning point happens, there's just so much upside available because big picture is just fine, right? Like overall, Oracle's not. We're not talking about like a quantum play or something like this. This is a huge company. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And big picture, long term, things are okay, right? As far as where we're at in the market right now. So that's also important. But as soon as things start to kind of flip or turn, and you can validate that on the lower time frame, which I'll get into, that's where with bigger narrative trades, you want to ask yourself, like, what's the story that price is telling? And you want to try to understand where the pendulum is in terms of where the pain is in a trade. And so the pain has been on the buy side for a really long time, but at some point that'll get exhausted. And when it is, elevated enough, that exhaustion from the buy side can lead to a nice reversal. So sellers get to a point where it's like, they're not, they already have been in the driver's seat, right? So if they start to kind of relinquish some control paired with it being overly exhausted and fresh buyers stepping in, you just kind of have this perfect storm for a bounce. Now, where the timing of that, where you look to kind of catch the timing of that is, for me anyways, is technically, right? This 188.88 was this huge spot. You already put in a failed breakdown there once, and now we're revisiting that again. So it's like, from this point, your risk reward is very, very good, right? Like 185 is this local low. You're looking for that to basically validate, and just risk reward alone. If you start to bounce anywhere near this spot, you have a very, very good amount of things and nuances in your favor on the long side. If it fails, then it becomes a really nice short, because then it's just a complete washout. And likely you see, if the market would have sold as well, you see this really kind of waterfall to 180. So those are just kind of some of the different things I was thinking about as it goes for like the lower time frame, and like piecing this together. I was interested in both sides. So this is where it's like you have to build a narrative on what price is doing. You have to kind of go through different scenarios, but at the end of the day, price is going to lead. So I don't need to know, what's going to happen to make money, but it's, if something happens, then the likelihood of the if X happens, the likelihood that Y will happen, the probability starts to go up a lot. And what I mean by that is those bigger picture nuances I talked about. If I saw the lower time frame, start to validate my thesis, my thought, I could be completely wrong. But if price starts to validate what I'm seeing, then that means that those variables I was talking about was accurate, right? Like my thesis was correct, and that, buyers are going to get back involved. Sellers are going to get caught off sides here because you have this really strong push lower, right? This is an aggressive push into the open lower, which is important. This is exhaustion. This is kind of capitulation of some sort, right? Especially into the open here. So anytime you have that capitulation, that's when bottoms are marked, almost always. So that nuance, once I start seeing price lead, that's what gives me conviction to say, hey, well, this is validating what I was thinking. And so the odds are that it will trend all day and close on the highs. Why? Because it's such a big picture trade that the likelihood of that is much, much higher. If this is just a random, every old day trade, then maybe that's not the case. But this was an 8% implied move that moved 13% and into a very, very key level. And with that bigger AI tech trade kind of in the focal point and those headlines being kind of nuanced, right? It's like, okay, they missed sales, which is why I was entertaining the front side move. If we would have, rejected like this 195, 197 very hard, and didn't have a first move down to this kind of this washout for the open, then I would have considered the downside. Maybe that's, just enough for this to keep selling and wash out to 170, but we didn't get that, right? So you saw this kind of puke out and then quickly turn. That moment is like, okay, my big picture that I'm thinking is being validated. And even if I'm wrong, the risk reward is so strong that if I'm right, that's a very big trade, right? And so I attacked this, obviously, as you saw, both with options and with shares in the main account, pretty aggressively, actually. This is one of my better trades in a while. So your risk reward on this turn is like, you're risking just shy of 3 points, okay? And the stock moved, let's see what it was, ended up being top to bottom today. 15 points. So you're risking 13 with a max move of 15. So it's just really, really strong, right? Given those big picture narratives. So anyways, hopefully that isn't too like nuanced or confusing, but to me, the best trades have a bigger story behind them. And that's nuance. And you're not always going to get it right. That's the thing. Like UNH comes to mind when I'm talking about this, where my thought process was early. Like I had the right idea. This was around like 270 something. There was a day where we kind of puked out and started to turn, and I was trying to hit the failed breakdown, and we ended up going like 237, and that was the low. And then it was like 2 or 3 days later, it capitulated a little bit more, but the bigger picture narrative and thesis ended up playing out in quite a huge way. As you know, it's over, $300 plus dollars now. So anyways, the best trades are when you have a bigger picture narrative, a thesis, and then the lower time frame is validating what you're seeing and presents a really unique risk reward opportunity. And then when it's working in your favor, you want to ask yourself how and where you can get more size, because the best trades like that, the ones with the bigger theses, will end up moving the most, and it has, provides the most opportunity to profit. So anyways, that's very, long and drawn out. But I got a lot of questions about it. So hopefully that is helpful in some way, and feel free to ask me questions or to elaborate on anything specifically if you'd like. So that's it for the review. As far as overall market, I'll rip through the rest of this a little bit quicker here. We're just trending, guys. This is a really big V-shaped recovery from the dip that we had a couple weeks ago. We're just below all-time highs, and after AVGO earnings, we're right at the highs, as you can see here. So tomorrow is shaping up to be a strong day. It may be a little bit harder with this gap that we're likely to get. Nonetheless, if we hold the 6,900, 6,920 spot, I think we're set up for a move to 7,000. So in the next week or two, I think we can start to push up to that. Excuse me. So holding some active runners on Oracle. MSTR had a nice comeback. I haven't been, really blinked an eye at this. I've mentioned that if it were to go lower first, that's okay. It seemed like the timing from when we put the swing on was quite good. But it's had a rough couple of days, ended really, really strongly though today. So this is like a liquidity grab nonetheless. My view on this is a much bigger picture. I'm fine to hang in there and wait on this. So I think once this gets going, especially over 200, it's going to move really quick and has a lot of upside. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. ARM, BABA, PayPal, Tesla, all just kind of like dead weight in the account. I'll do an update on the small account soon. I'll try to do that this weekend for you all. I've kind of sucked at, keeping you guys updated, at least on my thoughts on what's going on. I'm obviously trading and sharing all the trades live with you, but anywho, watch us into tomorrow. Some really nice looking setups. So SNDK, it's a big flag break here on the daily. Broke out over 234 today. Tomorrow, let's look for a move to 254, 260. ASTS, RKLB, really big moves. So this finally broke out of that huge flag, if you want to continue to call it that. It's pretty exaggerated at that point, but really big reversal nonetheless. RKLB, same thing. I don't see necessarily like a super straightforward entry. If anything, I would say RKLB over the 63.65. This is that kind of gap fill from earlier. This gap low on October 8th at 63.65. It tested that, got a little reaction. Look for it to hold above that. This has made quite a substantial move in a short period of time. So you want to just keep taking the highs out with momentum until the momentum stalls. At some point, it'll probably put an inside day or consolidate for a bit. But right now, this is speeding up. So you can continue to look at the momentum to the upside. IWM, nice breakout, multi-year breakout. Not much else to say. This is fantastic. Really, really good leadership here. And you want to just continue to watch it for continuation. So we had a nice day one, day two combo from FOMC, and we will look tomorrow to see if it holds above 256.56, and in particular breaks the highs from today around 258 for a move up near 260 next. Oracle day two continuation. So this is straightforward. If we can break above 200 or the high from today around 202, you start to push up into the gap. JPM, banks have been insane, guys. Banks have been, I have not traded this trade, but it has been a very good one. Banks have been very strong. GS in particular is one time framing higher and it's starting to accelerate at the highs, right? This is a big move. Some decent days here and then two big days, right? This is accelerating higher. If it starts to put in a big gap or stretch more, this could be a really good reversion trade as well as like a day trade. But for now, just keep an eye on it and keep riding the momentum to the upside. Gold called out this one today to watch this 389, 390 for move to 394. That played out perfectly. I didn't participate, but it did play really nicely. This 394.20 is a key spot from this October 20th, Monday here. If we can break above that, you've got pretty much nothing until cycle level at 400 and then 403 above that. Last but not least, FSLR. So FSLR, a very hard name to trade in my opinion, but it is coiled up and looking really good. So if this starts to break out of this consolidation, I think we get a move up to 300 plus. That could be, and I'm speaking not necessarily over a day or two, probably a couple of weeks or something, but technically speaking, it's coiled up pretty nicely. I do find this one hard to trade, but it stood out. Space Monkey noticed this one, and I agree. It does look good and set up for some momentum. So let's keep an eye on that, set some alerts, and that's what we got. I do want to mention Google actually real quick here. So Google has been kind of like building this flag for a while. This 309.60, I've been waiting for it to test that spot. And in fact, even all the way in here, we had puts on as a roll up at one point for a move into that. And it's just avoided it for a long period of time. So this is, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 trading days. And it finally tagged that and actually put in a failed breakdown at 309.60. So while this doesn't technically, look like much outside of just consolidating, I think this is, psychologically one of those things that if that is the low, this can be a sneaky play, especially with the AVGO earnings for a very big move back to 321. And the odds that 321.50 break after 4 attempts is much, much, much higher now. So going into tomorrow, it's kind of a sympathy play off AVGO. This could be a direct move into 321 that's tradable, but also a continuation through that level for a move into next week that pushes up to the highs. So something to watch. I'll actually add this. I don't know why I didn't. Let's do 325 calls. 321. And like I said, that's honestly probably just say 314. Because I am interested in both those moves. What did I just do? Okay. that's what I got for you guys today. Data, nothing else going on. We had AVGO earnings, Lulu earnings, which I guess we can mention that briefly before we hop off. AVGO beats, not surprisingly. Expected that. Not a insane move, actually. Pretty small move overall. We'll see if it makes any more ground overnight or into the morning. But good nonetheless for the market. Lulu finally getting that bid. I know a lot of people were kind of like expecting this to finally pop on earnings. I wanted to play this one. Space Monkey and I were talking about this. I forgot, honestly. I'm not sure if he did as well, but this is playing out. So we called it, didn't participate, and that's trading. So anyway, have a great rest of your night, guys. I will see you all in the room tomorrow.